All right, we're back in court. Let me pull it up. All right, here we go.
Regarding PCP.
Again, you're right. I'm going to, I'm going to note it.
Yeah.
I anticipate he's going to say that
Well,
Hector.
just let him testify.
Go ahead, you can answer. Just for purposes of the proffer, you can answer. I'll hear from the state and then we're going to move on and bring the jury in.
That Jose said he used PCP, that Hector said he used PCP, and there may have been some other history of PCP.
Thank you. I have no other questions. I'm ready to proceed.
I'll hear from the state.
Right, and all of what you said, so you was told by Hector Rodriguez.
I was not told by Hector
Correct.
through the
Other officers.
Yeah.
I understand. Other officers were told by Hector Rodriguez. Other officers were told by Jose Morales, and that in the course of the investigation, your department obtained police reports from other agencies, some over a decade old, and that other witnesses were spoken to as part of the general investigation into the background and life of Mr. Morales by other officers.
That is correct.
I'm ready to proceed, Your Honor.
All right, I don't believe we did this on the record, but counsel, you at one point, I believe, wanted to be heard about the use of PCP in the question.
Yes, Your Honor. So again, my objections still continue to run. They still continue to stand. There is no evidence in this case for the truth with regard to the PCP, any PCP usage. So anything that comes in is either hearsay, it is a self-serving hearsay if it's coming from Mr. Morales. It is contained, there's a relevancy issue with regard to documents that were obtained about previous PCP type of claims or police interactions where I made a relevancy claim in regard to, again, any other witness as part of general background information on Mr. Morales who may have brought that up. Again, same continuing, that is all hearsay. Quite simply, if Mr. Gavin thinks any of these are relevant, he has the names of all witnesses that provided these statements and could otherwise attempt to be bringing them into court rather than trying to put it in at this remote level through this witness.
Okay. So before the jury comes out, I am going to make a partial ruling, and that ruling is going to be based on the fact that PCP has not been introduced into the evidence, based on the proffer that included that the witnesses' answers are based on hearsay, including self-serving statements of the defendant, statements of Hector Rodriguez and other officers. Also based on the fact that nothing during the proffer led this court to believe that the answers or responses that were relayed to him arising out of those interviews had any effect on this officer in terms of a hearsay exception or a non-hearsay issue, meaning effect on the listener. And also weighing the probative value versus the prejudicial value and the relevancy. Court will admit that PCP use, I am assuming, is going to be relevant to the defendant's position, as I've been told. However, we don't have any evidence of that as of this point. So I understand the argued relevance. However, I also understand the state's position that having that come in through hearsay and self-serving statements by the defendant without any hearsay exception and without any reliance or effect on the listener, which would render it sort of the subject of non-hearsay, it is extremely prejudicial to the state to be introduced to the jury through the questioning process of the defense attorney. So I am going to order the defense attorney in the continued question of this particular witness to refrain from using the word PCP. Court has no evidence before it as of yet that there was any PCP use or that PCP has been an integral part of this investigation. The only thing I have is a proffer. That proffer relies on not only hearsay and self-serving statements, it also relies on basically the reading of a report that will not be admissible into evidence and has no independent recollection, or the witness had no independent recollection as far as the court is concerned regarding any of those responses or those actions taken, aside from signing off on this supposed report. This report is not in evidence. So keeping that in mind, I will allow you to continue to cross-examine the witness. If appropriate foundation is somehow laid, I will hear it at that time. Otherwise, I think the partial ruling at this point to keep PCP directly out of the questions until it is actually introduced into the evidence by a witness. I think I've made myself clear on that. Okay. Does anyone have any questions?
No, Your Honor.
All right, so bring the jury in, please.
Hey, y'all. Thank you for coming back
I'll
with me.
also add before the jury comes in that the defense will have an opportunity to develop its case through testimony and witnesses as it so chooses. You may be seated. Thank you. All right, thank you. If counsel would stipulate to the return of our jurors.
Stipulate, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I know we took an extended recess. My apologies. We're back, ready to proceed with evidence. Attorney Gavin. Thank you.
Hi, Lieutenant Frolish. I want to take you through just a couple points, and some may be repetitive from this morning. I hope they're not. Your title back in December of 2019 was Detective Sergeant, correct?
That's correct.
And the other detectives that were in the Detective Bureau at the Ansonia PD, they would have reported to you as a supervisor, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and you had supervisors as well, correct?
Yes.
All right, and those detectives would have provided you with information depending on what their responsibility was at any certain point in the investigation. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay, great. Now, I'm going to just go through some dates with you, and if you need your recollection refreshed at any time, just let me know. Am I correct that officers were dispatched to Mr. Hector Rodriguez's apartment on Thursday, December 5th?
I don't recall.
Would it help if you took a look at your police report that you
My
signed
police
off,
report?
that you signed off as the supervisor, sir? Would it
Okay.
help to refresh your recollection?
Sure.
Okay, may I approach, Your Honor?
This is an interview with Hector Rodriguez.
Right, on December 5th.
Yes.
Okay, all right, take that back. And just so we're clear for the record, when a investigating officer, specifically in this case, would go ahead and do some work, they would write a report, and then it would be submitted to you as the supervisor for your signature. Is that fair?
That's correct.
Okay, and that was done in this case, correct?
Correct.
Okay, now, so that's December 5th. That's over to Hector Rodriguez's. Then on December 11, 2019, were you involved with Lydia De Jesus going to the New Haven Correctional Facility?
I may have.
Okay, and do you recall what your role was in that regard?
To go to the facility?
Yeah.
To go to the facility.
Yeah, just tell us what you did at that time.
I went to the facility.
Okay, where Mr. Morales was held.
Yes, if that's where he was held, yeah.
Yeah, and his mom went in and was and spoke with him, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and you were there. I just want to make sure.
Yes, I wasn't present for the conversation back and forth.
Right, you didn't go into the interview room, but you had coordinated that she would go in and speak to her son.
I don't know if I coordinated it, but that happened.
That happened?
Yes,
Okay, and
yes.
it was recorded, correct?
Yes.
And what was the purpose to have the conversation between Mr. Morales and his mother recorded?
What was the purpose of it?
Yeah.
So we would have it because we have to record all the interviews.
As part of your investigation?
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yes.
And Lydia De Jesus cooperated with you and she went in and spoke to her son,
Correct.
right?
Yep.
And you weren't in the interview room, I understand that,
Correct.
okay? Right? Agreed? Okay. And then on 12/12, did you and Detective Trausser and Detective Adcox then go to the New Haven Correctional Center to interview Mr. Morales?
We went there and Detective Adcox interviewed him.
Okay, all right. And you recall that 12/12
Yes.
visit, right? Okay. And again, Mr. Morales was brought into an interview room, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, right. And you weren't in the interview room?
Correct.
All right, okay. You were outside the interview room someplace,
Yes.
right? And it's standard practice to go ahead and sign a notice of rights form, correct?
Objection if he, again, if he wasn't in the interview, I'm not sure quite.
The question is not
Basis of
whether he
knowledge.
was in the interview room. I asked him whether that was the standard practice when they interview somebody.
Overruled, if you know the
You can
answer.
answer.
So the standard practice, the person's in custody and we're interviewing them, yes, then we read them the rights.
The notice of rights form. correct?
Yes.
Right,
Notice of rights form.
Right, that they voluntarily, they are giving a statement and they're free to leave at any time.
Is that a question? Yes.
Yeah, that's what the notice of rights
Mhm.
form says, right?
Yes.
Okay. And Mr. Morales provided an interview at that time on 12/12.
That is correct.
Okay, great. And then it looks like the next event was, on 12/15, do you recall whether Lydia De Jesus had contacted you by phone?
This is the phone conversation we had, me and her.
Okay,
Yes.
Okay. Now, I don't want you to tell us what Lydia De Jesus said. That's hearsay. But can you tell us what the purpose of the phone conversation was? If you
Do you have
recall.
my report? So
I
can-
do,
Okay.
yeah. Can I approach, Your Honor?
Would it refresh your recollection?
Yes, Your
If-
Honor.
Sure you may, thank you.
Anytime you need your recollection refreshed, just let me know. I'm gonna be happy to share the report with you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
Does that refresh your recollection? Thank you. Okay. As a consequence of,
Honestly, because he wants him to admit he wants to use the word PCP. He wants him to admit that Jose Morales was using PCP, but he can't get that point across. That's what they were just arguing about. So I think that's why. That's my opinion, though.
to the phone call with Lydia De Jesus, what, if anything, did the Ansonia Police do in their investigative efforts?
I had someone write a report on it.
You had someone write the report that just refreshed your recollection?
Yes.
Okay. I'll
Maybe
show it
not.
to you, but
Yeah.
you wrote the report.
I wrote the report saying I received the phone call
Okay.
and then she provided me with stuff, which someone else wrote a report on.
Somebody else wrote a report regarding your conversation with Ms. De Jesus?
Yes, she provided me 2 photos, it says on there, correct?
Okay. And you didn't prepare a report in that regard?
I prepared a report on what you have in front of you.
Right. I'm sorry. I don't mean to mince words. You wrote a report that you had a phone conversation with Lydia De Jesus.
Correct.
And then I thought you testified somebody else wrote a report about some photographs that were presented.
That's what that report says, correct?
Okay. Yeah. I don't want to put the words in your mouth.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, right, that's what happened, okay. And then on 12/16, do you recall that Detective Adcox and Special Agent Dave Dillon from the FBI went to Mr. Rodriguez's apartment in New Haven?
I don't know the date of when they went there.
Would it help if
Sure.
refresh your recollection? May I approach, Your Honor? Does that refresh your recollection that that's when Detective Adcox and Dave Dillon went to Hector Rodriguez's apartment in New Haven on 12/16?
Yes.
Okay, right. You recall that now?
I recall that that's the date that's written on the report. Yes.
Right. You didn't go.
I did not go.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Okay. And sir, as the supervisor, what steps did the Ansonia Police Department take subsequent to the interview of Mr. Rodriguez by Detective Adcox and Special Agent Dillon?
What do you mean? What steps do we take?
Did you learn anything during the course of the interview that caused you to assign the detectives to do follow-up work?
Yes.
Okay, and tell us what follow-up work was.
I would have to, that's a 12-page report. So I'd have to relook at that 12-page report. But I mean, we re-interviewed Jose Morales a few times. I think a total of throughout this investigation, 5 times we interviewed him. We did other follow-ups on
Okay,
other witnesses. We did multiple search warrants. We probably did 25 plus search warrants on this case.
sir,
We continue-
I'm just asking you in regard to what information you would have received based on Detective Adcox and Dillon's interview of Hector Rodriguez, not everything that you did after that.
Okay.
Okay, so Adcox and Dave Dillon went, they interviewed Mr. Rodriguez for the second time, correct? Prepared a report, submitted it back to you for your signature, correct?
Yes. Yep.
Because all the detectives had to tell you what they were doing in regard to their investigative roles.
So I would get a partial understanding of what they would do.
Okay.
So the reports weren't done immediately with what were happening because we were moving so quickly with other stuff. So
Sure.
that report, I could tell you when that report was written. It probably wasn't written right at that time of the. So I was getting tidbits of information as we move forward in the investigation.
Let me just make sure that we're clear. The officers were out doing all different investigations and different roles in the investigation, correct?
Yes.
And you were the supervisor, and they would come back to you and they would say, Detective Sergeant, I did this and I'm going to follow up over here, or I did that, or it was a dead end.
Most of the time that would occur. Yes.
Yeah, you would generally know what the other officers were doing because you were their supervisor.
I would have a brief understanding of it. Yes. I don't have details. So if you have like a specific question about what you're looking for, I'd be more than willing to answer it.
Sure. No, I understand. But the point is that the investigators were going ahead and providing you with information in regard to what they were doing and what their investigation showed.
Correct.
Okay, no problem there. Now, I think you had testified that after Dillon and Adcox went to Hector Rodriguez, that there was another interview of Mr. Morales. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and just tell us in your own words, was that done up at Whaley Avenue?
I don't recall where it was done.
Would it help if you refresh your recollection with the
Well,
report?
Well, with Detective Adcox's report.
Yeah.
Yes.
When I don't want to confuse the record. I know that you didn't author the reports, but you signed off on the reports as the supervisor. So I'm not suggesting that you authored any of these reports, okay? Other than the one we just went through that you wrote, okay? All right, may I approach, would it refresh your recollection?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry. Are you okay?
I'm sorry, Attorney. You just asked me
Yeah.
where the
Okay.
location was.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep, that was up at New Haven Correctional, right?
Correct,
On the 17th.
correct.
Okay, thanks. Okay. Based on the information that the investigating officers received on the 17th, what further investigative steps did you take in regard to investigating the death of Christine Holloway?
I don't recall if I took any direct steps. We
Okay.
continued the investigation. We had another 1 or 2 interviews with Jose, and we followed up with individuals that we needed to follow up with.
Do you recall the following day on the 18th that you and Detective Frolish then went back to the Morales household at 105 First Avenue to speak with Lydia De Jesus and Marcos Garcia?
I recall that report you showed me before.
Okay,
Yes.
so you don't need to, you would agree with me that that was on the 18th that you two
Yes.
went, okay? And based on your discussions with Ms. De Jesus and Mr. Marcos Garcia, what investigative steps did you take in the investigation of the death of Christine Holloway?
We probably maybe applied for some more search warrants.
If
I
you're
don't
not-
know the time period of when everything occurred because I don't have a time period of a timeline in front of me.
Okay. If you're not sure, I don't want to put words in your mouth. So if you're not sure what investigative steps you took as a result of your discussions with Ms. De Jesus and Mr. Garcia, it's okay for you to tell us that.
I'm not sure.
Okay, all right, fine. And just 2 last questions for you. Do you recall that Detective Adcox would have went up to the Cheshire Correction Facility on December 23rd, 2019 to again re-interview Mr. Morales?
Yes,
Okay, and you didn't go, correct?
correct,
And you weren't in the interview room?
correct.
Okay, and after that, based on the information that he received, I take it he would have reported back to you?
I would assume so, but I don't know.
You don't recall?
Yeah, I don't.
Okay, all right. And then did Adcox also go up to the Cheshire Correction Facility on January 21st, 2020, which would have been the following year?
Yes,
Okay, and he interviewed Mr. Morales,
yes.
right? And based on the interview and the information that was received there, what steps, if any, did you take in regard to the investigation regarding the death of Christine Holloway?
We follow up to whatever he may have gotten from Jose Morales that day.
And as you sit here right now, I take it you don't recall exactly what that was, what that information was from the interview.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's a direct question, maybe you can refresh my memory. Do you have a direct question?
I can
Isabella.
show you his interview report if you want, if that would refresh your
It's probably like 12, 13 pages.
No, this one's only 3.
Oh, okay.
Would you like to?
For the 21st?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness? This would refresh your
Sure.
recollection.
Yep.
Okay, great.
My objection, please, Your Honor, to
Right.
any answer that may contain hearsay, self-serving hearsay.
That's good, Anders. Welcome back, Genevieve. Annabelle's. Bad girl. All my people. All my peeps. All my family. Yep, Mac Daddy's in the back. Girl, I think they just want to get it done with because they've been arguing for damn half the day. Yeah, me too, girl. Me too. He is telling them. I'm gonna need some bail money too. I want to see the jailhouse interview.
Thank you. So, sir, just wrap this up.
If there is one.
Detective Adcox
Hey,
went
Lisa.
up to the Cheshire Correction Facility to, again, interview Mr. Morales at that point, correct?
Yes,
Yes, and you didn't go, correct?
Correct.
Right, and you didn't participate in the interview,
That is correct.
okay? And then Detective Adcox would have written a report and you would have signed off on that report at some point,
That is correct.
right? Okay, and I take it he, as you said, he would have advised you in regard to what was the result of his interview with Mr. Morales,
Yes, me or Lieutenant Williams.
okay? And again, that would have been a voluntary interview
With Jose Morales?
with Jose
Yes.
Morales. Yes.
Yep.
Thank you, Rana. I have no other questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I
Thank
have
you.
nothing further.
All right.
Well, thank
You may
God.
sit down, Ms. Thank you.
Detective Richard Espizito, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you.
Oh, this detective is a dick. I mean, his name is Richard Espizito, I do believe. What are we at? 25. Espizito. Espizito. He's a healthy rooster. He's beautiful. Hold on, I'll show you real quick while we're waiting. He's like the prettiest rooster I've ever seen. He's my landlord's. He's all white and fluffy.
Good afternoon. You may step up into the witness stand. Please remain standing. Madam Clerk over here is going to put you under oath. Thank you.
You see all the white feathers? Ain't he cute? Hey, Jackie. He's got little feathers on his feet, too.
Yes, I do.
He's sexy. He's a smexy rooster. He's about to have,
Thank you.
there's 19 babies that are going to be going out there, so he's about to have a lot more women. As soon as they're big enough to defend themselves, because the big girls are going to try to fight him when they come out. He is silky. He is very silky. Yes, it's adorable. And some of the girls have fluffy feet too. I want them to have babies, and I want one of them.
Good afternoon, Detective Espizito.
Good afternoon.
Can you
I
tell
think
us
he's a
who are you
year.
employed by?
City of Ansonia, Ansonia Police Department.
Yeah, he's going to have
I'm
a
sorry,
whole
I'm
one.
going to need you to sit forward a little bit. That microphone does a
think he's a
poor
year.
job of amplifying. So
Sure.
if you can keep your voice up, please. I'm sorry, who are you employed by?
City of Ansonia, Ansonia Police Department.
How long have you been a member of the City of Ansonia Police Department?
This June will be 19 years.
Can you tell us a little bit about your background, your training, and your experience?
Yeah, I've been employed just under 19 years. I've been a detective
Lisa.
for 9 of those years. I investigate criminal crimes that usually get transferred to us by the patrol division. We assist on major cases. I investigate a lot of sexual assault cases, SVU type of cases, adult and child, and all types of street crime incidents.
I want to call your attention to the timeframe of December of 2019. Were you employed by the City of Ansonia on that date?
Yes, I was.
Excuse me one second. And I want to call your attention specifically to the weekend of December the 1st and 2nd of, well, it would have been Sunday, December 1st into Monday, December 2nd of 2019. Do you remember those dates?
Yes.
And with regard to an investigation that was commenced at 6.5 Myrtle Avenue, were you involved in that investigation?
I was, yes.
And with regard to that investigation, did you perform withdrawn? How many detectives were in the Ansonia Detective Division approximately in that time frame of December 2019?
I think there might have been 5 of us.
Okay.
You're right about this.
And was it fair to say that all available detectives were called in with regard to this incident the weekend of December the 1st of 2019.
Yes, that is fair.
And did you all have many various responsibilities,
Yes,
including yourself?
yes.
I want to sort of go past the initial part of whatever it is that you did, but was it fair to say that you were the evidence officer?
One of, yes.
So that evidence that was collected would ultimately get logged into evidence through you.
Yes,
Specifically, and do you recall, did you also attend an autopsy?
I did.
And did you also participate, well, withdraw. With regard to 6.5 Myrtle Ave, was there a point in time that after the Ansonia Police Department initially conducted whatever investigation that they were conducting there, that you sought legal authority to return to the property to conduct a further investigation?
Yes.
And do you recall the date that happened?
Going by memory, December 6th or 5th.
Did you prepare a report with regard to the activities that you were engaged in on that date?
I did, yes.
And if you had an opportunity to review your report, would it refresh your recollection?
Yes, it would.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
You may, Attorney Stein.
Okay, yes.
Have you refreshed your recollection?
Yes, I have.
And what was the date that you returned to the property?
December the 11th, 2019.
And with regard to the property, what was your purpose in going there?
Going there to assist investigators with trying to obtain any other additional evidence that might still remain at that scene.
And was there a particular place that you were focusing on?
Yes, that's true. Yes.
And what were you focusing on?
I focused my direction to underneath the sink of the home, inside the kitchenette area of the apartment, and the drain trap of the garbage disposal.
Showing you has been marked States 35 as full exhibit. Can you tell me whether you generally recognize what this is?
Yes, this is the kitchen area of 6.5 Myrtle Avenue, Ansonia.
And you started to tell us you were concentrating on what part of this kitchen?
Under the sink area, to the left side of the photo.
Using my highlighter, am I pointing at the area of the photograph with the highlighter?
Yes, that cabinetry underneath the sink, yes.
Record reflect, Your Honor, and States 35, left side of the photograph, a red sink, brown cabinet with child lock on it. My highlighter is pointing at that area of the photograph.
Thank you.
And did you open up that cabinet?
Yes, I did.
I want to show you what's been previously marked as State 78 as a full exhibit. Can you tell me whether you generally recognize what this is?
Yes, that's the underneath the sink with all sorts of cleaning supplies that were under there.
And when you went into this area, were all these cleaning supplies still in there like this?
Yes, I had to remove it.
And what is it that you did with all these supplies?
I moved them out of the way so I could access underneath the sink.
And I'm going to zoom in. What was it that you were trying to access underneath the sink?
I was trying to access the drain pipe from the sink that connects to the garbage disposal unit.
I'm going to zoom in on this portion of the photograph and place my highlighter again on the photograph. Are we talking about, is it that area of the sink?
That is one of the areas, yes.
Okay. And can you just generally describe, so, I'm sorry, what was it that you were focusing in on?
So the pipe that connects from the sink
Y'all all right?
underneath to the garbage disposal unit underneath the sink, I disassembled that, terminated power to the unit, disassembled that, looking for additional evidence that may have been in there.
Okay, so let's just take it one step at a time. We have a sink that sits on top of the counter, correct?
Correct.
When you open the cabinets, what's underneath the sink?
So there's the actual pipe, and then there's a drain trap underneath there. It's almost like an elbow piece that you would see underneath you.
And what about what is directly underneath the sink itself before you get to the piping and the drain trap?
The actual the disposal unit?
Okay.
Yeah.
So is there a garbage disposal unit?
Correct, yes.
And again, is it one of these type where you turn a switch on and off and stuff that's in the
Yes.
sink spins around and gets chopped up?
Yes.
And did you disconnect, is it my understanding you disconnect the piping from that garbage disposal unit?
That's correct.
I think he does have a stuttering problem. I wonder what was in that trap. I think they said bone fragments, and we all know what that's from. Poor Basil just sneezed. Little sneezer. Yeah, the Highland cows are adorable, especially Highland mini cows. They're so cute.
It's just the
I follow somebody who
Okay. No,
helps
Your
with
Honor,
them, but they take the
States
babies
just showed me what's been marked as exhibit 1.
from the mamas immediately. It's sad. Makes me upset.
All right, with no objection, the court will accept into evidence as full states 180 through 183. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honors. Showing you Detective Espizito states 180 as a full exhibit. Can you tell me generally what you recognize this to be?
Yes, so what we have here is a flattened banker's box on the floor with a wrench, a screwdriver there, and there is a paint can, an evidence paint can under there that I utilized to when I disassembled the drain from underneath the sink. This is a photo showing that drain pipe with elbow attached over that paint can to catch anything that might have been in the drain.
So let me ask you this. Obviously, you are not, this is not taken under the cabinet. This is on a tile floor.
Correct, it's already been removed.
Before you disconnected this pipe from underneath the sink, was the
Yeah.
can in the cabinet?
Yes.
And when you disconnected the pipe, what, if anything, happened when you started to disconnect the pipe?
So when I disconnected the pipe and, tilting it and taking it over the paint can to catch anything that could have been still in the trap, I heard a distinct pinging sound of like a substance of some kind that was still contained within it, hit inside the can.
So is it fair to say that when you disconnected the pipe, whatever was in started to fall down into the can?
That's correct.
And at that point in time, were you now holding a pipe and above the can?
Yes.
At that moment in time, was there still then fluid still within the pipe that you're holding?
Yes, there was liquid inside the pipe, yes.
And is that when this picture is taken that you're still holding the pipe above the can?
Yes.
Showing you what it states 181 as a full exhibit. Can you tell me whether you recognize, is this a closer shot of the mouth opening of the pipe?
That is the opening of the drain pipe, correct?
And can you tell me, do you recognize there appeared to be some white things around the mouth of the pipe? Do you recognize those?
I do, yes.
And it's not showing very well on the photo, but what did you do with those white things?
So those were emptied into the paint can with the other off-white color fragments that were inside the paint can.
So zooming back out again, does it appear that in the can below the photograph, I'm sorry, below the pipe, that there are additional pieces of some white substance in the can?
That's correct.
And again, with regard to at least those white things that are in the mouth, were those dumped into the same can?
Yes.
Showing you states 182 as a full exhibit. Can you tell me if you recognize what this is?
So again, that's another photograph of the paint can with the liquid contents from the drain trap from underneath the sink with the, I would refer to as off-white colored fragments inside the can.
And now the pipe has been removed from the image of the photograph?
Yes,
And is this a closer image of what remained in the can?
that is correct.
And if I zoom in on these things, are these the white fragments as you've described them?
Yes.
Now, with regard to these items, what steps, if any, did you take with them after the fact?
So the can was sealed. That would be, the contents of it was, I believe, is separated as its own evidence exhibit. The contents, the fragments inside the paint can were put as their own exhibit number. The unit, the pipe, that was its own, separated as its own exhibit number. And then when I came back to police headquarters, I was able to
Hey, Veronica.
get a little bit better photographs of them on what we refer to as butcher evidence paper on a table for better, closer pictures.
And with regard to the fragments, were anything ever done with those?
Yes, those were subsequently sent to, brought up to the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner for further examination.
Showing you what has been marked as states 183 as a full exhibit. Can you tell me generally if you recognize what this is?
Yeah, so here showing Exhibit 186. This was completed by me. I'm the seized by the investigator there, and from the location of where I seized it from. And yes, this is a label I created.
So, and again, is this is the contents of the kitchen sink garbage disposal?
Correct.
And I'm sorry, what did you do with these eventually?
Eventually, they were brought to the Office of the Chief's Medical Examiner.
Now, with regard to this investigation, did there come a point in time that you responded into the area of Naugatuck, Connecticut?
Correct, yes.
And what was your purpose for going to Naugatuck, Connecticut?
Several investigators were paired up with agents from the FBI to look for a phone believed to be owned by Miss Holloway, and where it was last known to be pinging from in a particular area before the phone ultimately went dead.
And so did you go into this area?
I did.
And can you tell us what you're on? I think you indicated moments ago that there were you were teamed up
Yes,
with other members of law enforcement.
correct.
It's super windy, so I'm sorry if it gets windy again like it just did. I think so. I think that was the contents of the garbage disposal.
Approximately how many people do you know?
I don't recall.
Are we talking more than 10, less than 10?
I would say at least a dozen.
And what steps, if any, did you take while you were up there?
Sure. So the representative from the FBI that I would happen to be paired up with during this particular time, there was an area that was, I believe it was off of Route 8. I believe it was the Cross Street area. There was an area where the phone was last known to before it went off. We were checking off the highway off ramp, ball fields, water along a river. I checked an outhouse. I checked, like I said, ball fields, a forest area. It was pretty vast area. We were doing what we call a neighborhood canvas. We were talking with neighbors with possible, camera systems that may have had information. Anyone that may have had some camera footage, if it wasn't known at the time, that we would flag those addresses, and investigators, those were places that they could go back to later on.
How long did you spend out there, at least yourself, that day?
We were out there for several hours.
And with regard to this investigation, were you ever able to recover a cell phone?
We did not locate the phone.
Did there come a point in time where you returned to the area of Naugatuck, Connecticut?
Yes, there was.
And what was your purpose to go out there?
We developed information that Jose Morales had a family member. I believe it was a nephew, Joshua and Amanda Morales, lived a couple miles from this area where we were checking for the phone.
Showing you what has been marked states 24 is a full exhibit, part of the cast report. Do you recall the address that you went to?
48 Curtis Street in Naugatuck.
And this is a report that was submitted through a previous witness. And are you able to indicate, you see 48 Curtis Street on the legend of this report?
Yes.
And with regard, approximately how far away did this family member, Mr. Morales, live from the area where the phone was last paid?
A couple miles.
That's crazy. I couldn't imagine, Anders.
I have nothing further.
I'm going to use that now. Thank you.
Thank you. Attorney Galvin?
Thank you. Hi, Detective.
Good afternoon.
I just have a few questions for you. Put up that last page. I just want to go back where we left off with Attorney Stein. Are you familiar with a cast report?
I don't have a lot of background or knowledge in a cast report.
Okay. If I represented to you that there's analysis that's done on
Mhm.
cell phones where they ping off of cell towers, and you can track that data,
Sure.
right? You're conversant with that.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
And if I may, States Exhibit 161, which was the cast report, I think there's a monitor in front of you, maybe there too.
I see it here. Yes.
Oh, okay, great. So you went up Route 8 to the area in Naugatuck, Connecticut at some point, correct?
Yes.
And do you know when that was?
I don't remember the date.
Okay.
If I saw my documentation on it, if it was a report authored by me, perhaps.
It's fine. Was it in December of 2019 or January, if you recall?
I don't recall.
Okay, all right. And you said that there were about a dozen investigators that went up.
Approximately.
Okay, and you were paired off, I think you told
Yes.
us? Okay, so the cast report shows where the Holloway phone was dinging off of the cell towers in the area of Naugatuck. You see that
Yes.
red area there? Is that where you were investigating when you went up?
We were scoured all over the place. So I can't say with absolute certainty with this map I'm looking at the exact location that I was.
Okay. And would it be fair just to say you're in that general area?
General area.
Oh, okay, great. And I see that there's a notation in regard to the address of Amanda Morales, Joshua Morales. Do you see that?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay. And then there is, Your Honor, just using my pen, in the middle of page 24 of the cast report, you see there's an indication Union City,
Yes.
right? Okay. And is that where the Joshua and Amanda Morales residence was located?
If Union City contains Curtis Street, then perhaps, but I don't know. I'm not familiar with Naugatuck to.
I know you didn't prepare this report.
Yeah.
That's okay. But you would agree with me that the legend indicates Amanda Morales, Joshua Morales residence, and then there's a box. You see that?
Yes.
box, legend? And the box is up Route 8, correct?
Correct.
And just, I'm not asking you where Union City starts and Naugatuck
Mhm.
stops, but the indication on the exhibit is that the Morales residence would be north of that Union City designation.
Okay.
Is that good?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And did you go up to that Union City area, if you recall?
During that particular day, looking for the cell phone, no.
No. Okay. And the the Morales, Amanda Morales, Joshua Morales residence is outside of the area where the Verizon cell towers had indicated that they had had contact with Christine Holloway's phone, area code 203-231-0269 from noon to 3 p.m. on Monday, 12/2/2019.
Yes.
I have no other questions. Thank you. Do you need this?
No.
No.
I have no further questions.
All right, very well. You may step out of the witness box. Thank you.
Do y'all think his family in the area got rid of the phone for him?
Suggest, while I get the exhibits together for the next witness, Your Honor.
All right, so you're looking for the afternoon break so you can do that?
I'm sorry?
Do you want the afternoon break to do that?
That would probably be
So that we can go straight into
Yes.
the ME? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, the jury, we're going to stand in our afternoon break a little early
fucking
today. The
course
next
you are.
witness will be coming up. We're going to do some administrative things and then call you in and be ready to go forward with that. Court's going to take the 15-minute recess. Thank you.
Of course you are. 51 minutes after coming back.
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah.
Hold on a minute. All right, let's go back and watch Lori Daybell acting a fool. Let me pull this up on my phone. Let me pull it up on my phone. Let me clear my throat. Da-na-na-na-na-na. I need this. I don't know. Lord only knows what's wrong with her. Somebody's watching videos on my thing. I have not been watching videos about Jägermeister. God almighty, that sounded like a daggone cannon.
You told us you met on an LDS dating site, right?
Correct.
So are you a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints?
I am.
Really?
Was there anything that you were hearing that you thought were outside of your beliefs?
A lot of things.
Yeah.
As Charles was telling you these things about his wife, can you tell us his demeanor? What his voice was like, what his attitude was like as he's talking about that?
I just remember thinking that he was strangely calm and still kind towards Lori, even through what they were going through.
You told us you were aware he had a child. Did you know where that child lived, who the child lived with?
Yes.
So these are the most memorable moments from the Lori Daybell Vallow trial. Yeah, there's a wheat field behind me. That's actually what inspired me to grow wheat, because I was like, I guess if they're planting it here, it's like a sharecrop thing. They plant things. Last year they planted tobacco. So this year this season they're doing wheat, and their people go over there and shoot, and I see like 12 gauge shotgun shells on the ground. But that was something big. That was crazy. Yeah, I don't know.
Who was that?
He was living with Lori at that time.
He
had older children as well, but the young one was living with Lori.
You have these conversations with Charles about his wife and these things that to you seem outside the LDS religion. Why do you keep talking to him?
Well, he was very charming and kind and funny and very clever, really good banter. A lot of craziness going on around him, but he seemed pretty awesome.
Nancy Jo Hancock went on just one date with Charles Vallow the night before he was killed.
Meet him in person.
Just once.
What day was that?
He was flying in from Houston and we had arranged to go to dinner that night. His plane was delayed. And so I met him that night on the 10th of July.
July 10th, was that 2019?
Correct.
And was that then here in Arizona that you met?
It was.
You said that you had original plans to meet and they got pushed back?
Yeah, his plane was delayed. So we met a little later than we were supposed to.
Where did you guys meet? What did you do?
At the Keg restaurant by Santan Mall. And we ate, but we talked until the restaurant closed. We were the last people there.
What were you thinking when you didn't hear from Charles after you spent this night?
Y'all, I would absolutely poop my pants if she said, "Were you aware that Charles slept with me the night after he talked to you?" Be like, "Ma'am, I think that that's more of a dig on yourself than anybody else." Yeah, she got dragged into this madness for absolutely no reason. She dated Charles, the one that Lori was married to, before Lori had him offed by her brother. She went on a date with the man who was murdered by Lori's brother the night before he was murdered.
I was puzzled how I had misread what I had thought been a good date so wrong that he would not even take the courtesy to reply. Wondered why, but just figured that was what his decision was.
So on July 11th, when you're not hearing back from Charles, did you know that he had been shot and killed?
No.
Now, Nancy Jo Hancock's testimony really riled up Lori. Take a look.
So you did go on a date with a married man,
I went on a date with Charles.
but you did not know he was married.
I knew his divorce was not final.
His divorce was not started.
Okay.
Okay. So in your text messages, you asked Charles if he was a good kisser. Is that correct?
Maybe, sure.
Did he answer that text message?
I'm
gonna
sure.
object to
I'm sure he did.
relevance. Again, 611 harassment.
I'll sustain the objection for relevance and hearsay.
So are you trying to tell me and this jury that you went on one date with my husband and he told you all the details of our lives?
I'm telling you the truth, and that's what I know.
So you spent your whole date getting to know each other, talking about me.
Don't flatter yourself. No, we did not spend the whole time talking about you.
You knew a lot about me, right?
I knew what I've testified to.
What else did you talk about on your date?
Lots of things.
Like what, for instance?
Life, kids, the church, lots of things.
Okay. Did he tell you about anything about our other 4 children?
Yes,
So you knew that we did have 5 children as well?
I did.
Okay. Did he talk to you about my daughter Tylee?
He did.
Did he talk about his relationship with her?
I don't recall that.
Did he talk about the contention in his relationship with my daughter Tylee?
I don't recall that.
I'm sure you don't.
And I'm going to object to comments by the defendant made after questions testifying.
I'll sustain the objection.
And Lori actually treaded into some pretty dangerous territory.
So there were some text messages between you and my husband after the dinner on July 10th. Is that correct?
Correct.
What time would those text messages have occurred?
After dinner,
What time?
10:45-ish.
10:45 to what?
I'm not certain, ma'am. After dinner.
10:45 to midnight? Maybe?
I just told you I don't know. Maybe.
What did you discuss in those text messages?
And I'm going to object to relevance again. If there's a specific area.
Sustain.
Yeah, I love that. Don't flatter yourself. That's what Hannah names her name. Hannah UK. Don't flatter yourself comes from. I think it did make her lose sleep, and she gets to prance around here all nice and feeling like she's pretty and on top of the world during the day. But at night, she goes back to that lonely ass jail cell, knowing that she ain't never going to leave it.
You testified a minute ago that Charles told you a lot of things about his wife. You didn't say ex-wife, but you said wife. Is that correct?
Okay, sure.
What were a lot of things?
The things that I testified to.
What
Can you
was?
be more specific?
Am I allowed to do a narrative then?
Thank you.
Let's go on sidebar.
So this was a sidebar, so we don't know what was discussed, but Judge Boreski warned Lori that she might want to watch it.
The last question the defendant asked of the witness was along the lines of, what things did you discuss about me, meaning the defendant? Is that
Right.
correct?
That's what I
Yes.
recall, Your Honor.
Are you sure you wanted to answer that question? Because you're opening up a really big door. If you want her to answer the question, I'll have her answer the question.
How am I supposed to know what a lot of things are?
Why does it matter?
All right, if you want her to answer the question and there's no objection from the state, we'll
No
bring the
objection.
jury back in and have her answer the question. All right, let's bring the jury in.
Lori must have calmed down after the lunch break because she didn't end up questioning Nancy Jo Hancock about what Charles said about her in text messages.
Miss Hancock, you said that you had seen on TV that my husband had passed away. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And you indicated after that that you saw my sister-in-law, Kay Woodcock, on that show and you reached out to her. Is that correct?
I didn't indicate that, but that is correct. I reached out to Kay after I saw that Charles had died.
Okay. And did you do that through Facebook or
I did.
social media? Okay. How many times between that first contact and now have you and Kay Woodcock communicated?
I've spoken to her just once. I've texted her here and there regarding, I've texted her here and there about other things. I don't know what I can say.
Okay. How many times have you texted her?
I have no idea.
Like more than 10?
Maybe.
Okay.
Then Christina Atwood testified. She was a former friend of Lori's who said Lori had talked with her about Charles months before Alex shot him.
Was there anything that
473.
Lori said at this meeting in February-ish of 2019 that she said about Charles that stood out to you?
She was concerned about dark spirits plaguing him.
Did she in fact tell you that he was possessed by dark spirits?
I don't recall.
Okay, we're going to pause there. They're back at court, surprisingly. Maybe she heard us getting angry with her, and the judge is like, okay, I better get my poop in a scoop. The defense attorney is arguing, of course. Yeah, she knows her only chances.
Ruling on any individual photograph as a full exhibit.
She knows it's her only chance is to force people to answer. What are we doing?
Until we get the witness on the stand and I start hearing the testimony and see the relevance and the need for the photo. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Roman.
He was objecting to a photo of some sort. You a smooth bum in your dream, Anders? In your dreams? I mean, I suppose if like you could null out all the craziness, she might be all right for a one night stand.
CV. It's all right. I'll just roll it out. I believe I'm ready, all right?
All right, and before we call the jury in, because my understanding is this would be the last witness for today, my question is, I would like to update the jury regarding our anticipated schedule. So my understanding is that following this witness, we will be adjourning and then starting up again tomorrow morning, prepared for 10 a.m., that the state will have one additional witness to be called to the stand. And then it's my understanding that unless something changes, the state would be in a position to rest its case in chief. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And then at that point, obviously, I'll hear any motions that need to be heard, and then we would start the defense if the defense chooses to put evidence in, correct?
Yes, Your Honor, and
All
I'll
right.
have my witness here at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning.
All right, so that sounds good. So I will give the jury some update with respect to at least the rest of this week and let them know that we appear to be on track anyway, if not ahead of track.
Your Honor, I wonder if I might inquire. So today's Tuesday, state rests tomorrow. Wednesday, we start. Would we potentially be done Thursday?
I don't know. There's a possibility, but I am not going to allude to that to the jury
Okay.
because there is also a probability that we'll go into Tuesday.
Oh, I see.
So I certainly don't want to get their hopes up. I'd rather stick within the time frame because we're already ahead if we wrap this up next week. Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. All right. So Attorney Stein, do you need another moment or are you sure you're all set?
Well, I left some stuff down. Attorney Durso is going to be retrieving from my office.
All right. So I can certainly give you just a few moments. It's fine if you'd like to
Thank you,
take
Your
those
Honor. I left,
moments.
the full-
Lord have mercy.
Okay. All right.
No, Hannah, there's another witness coming and they're talking about being on track for the rest of the week. They're saying the state's going to rest tomorrow. And then Thursday, the defense could call people and then they'll go into deliberations. Court might be over Thursday, Friday, or early next week.
Michael Hayes.
Perhaps the cautionary instruction as well at this point, Your Honor, may be wise for
Yes.
the gallery.
Thank you. I will do that. So ladies and gentlemen, other viewers who are here watching the trial, I've done this previously to give you some sort of indication that there's going to be materials which could prove to be sensitive or otherwise
You're welcome, Hannah.
elicit some sort of response from certain viewers. So if you are sensitive to that type of material, I'll qualify it as could be
Trigger
gruesome
warning.
in nature, I suppose, then I would give you this opportunity to remove yourself from the courtroom or turn away from the screens. Attorney Stein, are we all set?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you.
Madam Clerk?
You could just have it in mind, you know.
Thank you. Counsel, please stipulate to the presence of our jury.
Stipulate to the presence of.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, the state would please call its first, next witness. Thank you.
Dr. Michael Hayes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for hanging out with me while I watch this trial and being so sweet and supportive and keeping us
Good
laughing.
afternoon. If you'd please step into the witness stand, remain standing. Madam Clerk will put you under oath. Thank you so much, Madam Clerk. It's to my right. Thank you.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that the evidence you shall give concerning this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Nice looking man.
So help you God, or if I'm found to perjury?
Yes.
Can you please state your full name, spelling your last name, and your business address for the record?
It's Michael Hayes, Hays, 11 Shelby.
You may be seated.
So is he a doctor?
Good afternoon, Dr. Hayes.
Good afternoon.
First of all, can you tell us who are you affiliated with?
The Connecticut Office of the Chief Medical Examiner here in Connecticut and Farmington.
Can you tell us how long have you been affiliated with the Connecticut State Medical Examiner's Office?
I've worked for that office since spring of 2019.
And can you tell us a little bit about your background, your training, and your experience?
Of course. So after high school, I did 4 years of undergraduate studies and got bachelor's degrees in biology and chemistry. That's at West Virginia University in my home state. I stayed at WVU and went to medical school for 4 years and got my MD degree. Afterward, I went to the University of Virginia in Charlottesville, where I did a 3-year residency in anatomic pathology, followed by a 2-year fellowship in neuropathology, and finally to the Virginia Commonwealth University in Richmond, Virginia, where I did a 1-year fellowship in forensic pathology. Following completion of my training, I worked for about 2 years at the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner in Norfolk, Virginia, before moving here to Connecticut.
And can you tell me what is your role and responsibility at the Office of the Chief State Medical Examiner?
I'm a forensic pathologist, also known as a medical examiner.
And can you tell us what does a forensic pathologist or a medical examiner?
All right, ladies, I'm going to ask us all, myself included, to calm down. He's got the prettiest blue eyes. So does Mr. Speculating. Mr. Speculating has blue eyes like that. So beautiful. But I'm sure he dressed up like Mr. Who and wore a striped tie for that purpose. He probably knows he looks like that.
Sure. A forensic pathologist is a type of doctor that specializes in examining human bodies to determine cause and manner of death.
And with regard to those responsibilities, were you employed in that capacity in late 2019?
Yes.
And I want to call your attention to a case number 19-21392.
Mr. Who, Doctor Who. Sorry, I don't watch Doctor Who. My brother does.
Is that a case number you are familiar with?
Yes.
And when the services of the state medical examiner are necessary, how is it that the office would be notified?
Usually a death report is called in either by a hospital, a police officer. An investigator takes the report of the death, and we go from there.
And would the office send a representative out to a crime scene if that were necessary?
Yes, if someone is pronounced dead at a scene, then it's typical that we will send out an investigator to go do an on-scene investigation.
And based upon that person's investigation, would there come a point in time where the body of the decedent would be brought back to the state medical examiner's office?
Yes.
And with regard to case number 19-21392, when a body is presented at the state medical examiner's office, is a unique case number assigned to that?
Yes.
And with regard to case number 19-21392, are you able to identify the case name that is associated with?
It was Christine Holloway.
Now, sort of skipping to the end of the process, when you have completed whatever tasks that you are involved with, ultimately is a report prepared by yourself and anyone else who has any connection to that particular case number?
Yes, I prepare an autopsy report after each examination I perform.
And is that
don't know.
generally public information and transmitted to the law enforcement agencies?
The cause and manner of death are public information. The autopsy report itself is not public information, but it may be released to interested parties such as law enforcement.
Now, with regard to case number 1921-392, did you issue a report in the death of Christine Holloway?
Yes.
And I'm going to show you.
184. Okay, just tell me how many pages. Yeah.
Twenty-three pages.
22.
23.
23. Your Honor, I've had an opportunity to review the autopsy report. I have no objection to the introduction of this exhibit. Contained within the formal autopsy report is also the forensic anthropologist report who will testify tomorrow. So I just want to alert the court that that is coming in as part and parcel of the autopsy report. And I have no objection as a full exhibit.
Okay, thank
Thank you.
you. So the court will go ahead and accept the exhibit into evidence as a full exhibit. Thank you.
Attorney Cavan, any objection to a copy of the exhibit being provided to the doctor for him to keep with him while he's testifying?
Oh, no, absolutely not.
May I approach the witness, please, Your Honor?
Yes, you may.
Showing you up on, so you have, is your monitor on, doctor?
Yes.
Monitor's on. So showing you, first of all, can you just sort of authenticate, if you will, states 184. Does this appear to be the report from the Office of the Chief State Medical Examiner with regard to case number 1921-392, the death of Christine Holloway?
Well, this is some documentation that's part of would be part of our case file. The actual autopsy report itself looks like it starts a couple of pages later.
Okay, but but for the purpose of this, do you recognize that this is pertaining to case number 19-21-392?
Yes.
And is it signed by, or at least bearing the type signature of James R. Gill, MD?
Yes.
And who is James R. Gill?
Dr. Gill is my boss, the chief medical examiner.
And does this appear to have been transmitted in or around March of 2020?
Yes.
Now, with regard to this report, can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, sort of now getting back to the beginning, when a body is presented at the medical examiner's office, can you tell us sort of an overview of the process that occurs?
Of course. So when the body comes in, the first thing we do is open the body bag and examine the body. At this point, we're touching it as little as possible, trying not to manipulate it too much. We take a series of photographs, look for any evidence that might be able to be collected. In a case that appears to be a homicide, as this appeared to be, we'll usually take a set of x-rays at this point as well. After that, if necessary, we'll remove any clothing. This wasn't necessary in this case as she didn't have any clothing on, but we'll remove clothing, clean the body, wiping away any blood, dirt, or debris. Again, I will do another full exam of the external surfaces of the body, taking photographs, making notes, documenting any findings. And at this point, in this particular case, it was also necessary to shave her head to examine some of the injuries. Once I'm satisfied that I've performed a complete external examination, I move onto the internal examination portion where I put incisions into the chest and the abdomen, the head, remove all of the organs, examine them, dissect them, again, making notes, taking note of any disease, illness, or injury. At the end of the day, the organs are returned to the body and it's ready for release to a funeral home, and that concludes the exam.
Did you perform such an exam on the body of Christine Holloway, subject of 19-21-392?
Yes,
And do you recall what day you performed this exam?
that was on December 4th of 2019.
And starting first with, I have a series of photographs, Your Honor, states 186, 187, 188, 189, 190, 191, 192, and 193 that I have shown the defense and would be offering at this time.
All right, so counsel.
Your Honor, I had an opportunity to review the exhibit. Same objection. Thank you.
All right, counsel, I'm going to just make some comments on the record regarding the photographs outside the presence of the jury in relation to the objections that were placed on the record. So I am going to ask the jury to step out momentarily so that I can go ahead and do that outside the presence of the jury. Thank you.
They're definitely getting their exercise. Good Lord. It is fascinating. Possibly Connecticut. The area he's in, I don't know. New York? No, not in New York, I don't think.
All right, I'll first hear the objection in more detail, and then I'll move over to the state attorney Gavin.
It's just a blanket objection to the introduction of the autopsy photos as they are not necessary given the introduction of the autopsy report, and Dr. Hayes is here to go ahead and testify in that regard. I think they're disturbing, and I think that they are motion invoking. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, Attorney Stein, in terms of proffering the photos, what is the relevance of the photos?
Probative value outweighs the prejudicial effect, Your Honor, amongst the state's burden in this case. This is a specific intent crime. The state bears the burden. The perpetrator of this offense had the specific intent to cause the death of Christine Holloway, and I believe that these photos are demonstrative evidence where a jury can infer intent.
All right, but additionally, with respect to those particular photographs, if you wouldn't mind going through each one and just giving me
Sure, Your
an
Honor.
independent relevancy.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I would point out, first of all, that I believe there were several hundred photographs that were received both from the state medical examiner's office as well as a police officer who attended the autopsy and documented the process. I have states 186 is an introductory photograph that I would expect the doctor to testify with regard to identifying the condition of the body upon receipt by case number assigned to it in the photograph. The second photograph is going to show, which is actually in series 187 and then 188, shows injuries generally to the face of the decedent in this case, and then with greater specificity as to one photograph, which is to the nose of the decedent,
I agree.
which shows a penetrating injury that was identified by Dr. Hayes. Photo 189 is a side view of the shaved head of the decedent, which the doctor indicated that he performed, which shows an injury to her skull, proximate to her ear, just above her ear. And again, that photograph will be offered for the purpose of showing specific intent. Photograph number 190 is another view of the top of the decedent's head, looking down from the top of her head, which shows numerous injuries to scalp and skull, which it has been represented to me in an interview with Dr. Hayes previous to his testimony, are separate and distinct wounds showing at least to a certain extent the number of potential strikes, and then subsequently photos number 191, 192, and 193 are separate photographs of different injuries on the victim's body. Actually, one looks like this could be the same injury. Actually, what it is, Your Honor, is 191 and 193 appear to be the same injury, one a little bit closer, and then 192 appears to be the same general area from a much bigger, from a higher view, but they are of the victim's torso in a very nondescript part of her torso. It can't be identified directly from the photograph.
All right, may I see the
Sure.
photographs?
All of them were just.
I'd like to go through each of them on the record, please, if you don't mind. It'll take just a moment. Attorney Gavin, anything else?
No, Your Honor.
All right.
Thank you.
So the court has had an opportunity to review the photos, and those photographs are State's Exhibits 186, 187, 188, 189, 190, 191, 192, and 193. The court acknowledges that the subject matter of some of these photographs are gruesome. In particular, I would point out 186, 189, and 190. However, to note, this is a murder trial. It's anticipated that evidence that's going to come before the jury is going to be gruesome. This was a subject matter that the parties were allowed to visit during voir dire examination as to the effect on the jurors and the jurors' willingness to consider such evidence and deal with such evidence. Additionally, in weighing the probative versus prejudicial weight of these particular photos, I will state that I do acknowledge that they appear to be, according to the proffer and the report, which is now a full exhibit, independently relevant to prove not only intent but causation, also to assist the examiner in describing the wounds to the decedent, as well as describing his observations as he examined the body to make his conclusions, and to corroborate testimony from of the investigating officers who have previously provided in this particular case.
Yep.
Wherefore, the court is going to find that these photographs, and there are only 8 of them, the probative value does outweigh the prejudicial effect in this particular type of trial where the state has to prove intent and the underlying charge is murder. So for those reasons, I will go ahead. Attorney Stein, thank you for the heads up on those. You can move to mark those as full exhibits.
I think in light of going through on the record and seeing states 191 and 193 appear to be duplicates, Your Honor. So I will leave one in. I will introduce 191 as a full exhibit, and I'll ask the clerk to leave the marking of 193 for identification.
All right, 193 ID only. I'll accept the rest into evidence as a full exhibit. Counsel, you know your evidence in your photographs better than I do. If you say they're a duplicate of the same wound, then I'll go ahead and just leave that one marked as ID. Thank you for noticing that.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you. All right, we can call the jury back in.
I wanted to see if he has a reaction when he sees those photos, if he gets to, if they show them. I don't know that we'll see him. I'm sure the jury will. And I mean, they blocked the PCP term. I think it's relevant.
All right, thank you. Counsel, before we begin, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, well, first of all, counsel, please stipulate to the return of our jurors.
Stipulate the presence of the jury, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you so much. All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you're about to be shown some exhibits which the court has accepted into evidence as full exhibits. I do want to instruct you as follows. The purpose of the court's entering these exhibits as full exhibits as they were proffered by the state, and the purpose of the state in entering these exhibits is to, one, show wounds, two, show examiners documented findings and assist during the course of the medical examiner's testimony here today. And it is certainly not meant to arouse your emotions. So that is not the intent of the evidence, nor should that hopefully be the effect of the evidence. As you will be later on instructed in depth, that sympathy is not to play a part in your deliberations when we get there. So I just first wanted to provide you with that instruction, and also to let you know that the information that you may see may be sensitive content when it is displayed. All right, thank you. State may proceed.
May I continue, Your Honor? Dr. Hayes,
Yes.
Shortly before the recess, I was asking you about the process. When a body is received at the state medical examiner's office and it is assigned a unique case number, does the process begin with photographs identifying the decedent?
Yes, those are part of the standard photographs we take for every case.
Showing you what has been marked as stage 186 as a full exhibit, can you tell me whether you recognize
Hey,
what
Tony.
this is?
Yes, this is one of the photographs taken during that examination. Again, one of the standard photographs we take of the decedent on a stretcher against the laboratory wall with the case number visible.
Okay, and again, is this regarding case number 19-21-392?
Yes.
Now, in this photograph, if I zoom in, I see that there appear to be bags that are wrapped around the decedent's hand.
That's right.
And is that how the body was received by the investigators on scene?
Yes.
And what is the purpose of those bags being placed there, if you know?
Those are usually placed to preserve any possible evidence on the hands or fingers.
So now, with regard to the autopsy that was performed on Miss Holloway, what would be the first step in the process?
So the first step in the process is opening the bag, the body bag, and again, looking at the body before touching it or manipulating it, taking photographs, and then moving on to cleaning the body.
Okay. And was that done in this particular case?
Yes.
All right. And what would the next step be in the process?
The next step would be after we've cleaned the body, again, another full external examination, more photographs, and then onto the internal examination where we look at the organs.
Showing you, and in this process, how are you memorializing in the process what you're doing?
So during the examination, well, first of all, the photographs are obviously part of it. Any significant findings, I will have my staff photographer document, but I also have my own notes. I prepare a body diagram and take notation on a worksheet, and I use those to construct my report after the examination.
Showing you what has been stage 185 as a full exhibit, can you tell me generally whether you recognize what this is?
Yes, this is one of the diagrams I prepared while performing the autopsy.
And stage 185, Your Honor, is 1, 2, 3, 4 pages.
Thank you.
So again, just kind of flipping through them, Who, do you recognize the handwriting on this report?
It's mine.
And are you placing these notes there contemporaneous with the autopsy that you're performing?
Yes.
And does it cover various aspects of the decedent's body?
Yes.
And finally, are there notes that you write to yourself in the end of the report?
That's right.
Now, with regard to, you indicate you clean the body and you continue to photograph other aspects of the body. I want to show you states 187 as a full exhibit. Can you tell me whether you recognize what this
Counsel,
is?
was there any objection to that? I didn't take it into the record yet, I don't believe.
Your Honor, I have no objection. I don't think we introduced 185 yet, but I have no objection there.
All right,
And this is 187.
187, you said?
This is
full.
187, Your Honor, and I apologize. I thought that all these were accepted into.
That's okay. I did accept photos, but I didn't review reports and I didn't speak as to the reports. So I thought the two of you had an agreement on 185.
Yeah, 185.
All right, so 185 is in as a full, and are there additional exhibits that are not photographs that we've already? Attended
Nope,
to.
everything else is already in evidence, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Okay,
And I have no objection to 185, the notes.
thank
4
you.
pages.
Okay, thank you. You may proceed.
So, I'm sorry.
And just one other thing, Your Honor, just, I'll stipulate that all of the exhibits that are going in through the medical examiner is in regard to case 19-21392, so we don't have to qualify it over and over.
All right, so I will note that stipulation for the record. Thank you so much.
So now with regard to photos, Your Honor, 187, 188, 189, 190, 192, 191 and 192, I would move all of them into evidence at this time.
87, 89, 190, and 192.
Yes, Your Honor.
And 191 remains as an ID only, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, that was previously done on the record, but I will accept that.
193. So I have 187, 188, 189, 190, 191, and 192. 193 is an ID only.
All right, so this was done previously on the record. The jury is now here. I will go ahead and accept once again those into the record as full exhibits for the reason placed on the record outside the presence of the jury. Thank you.
Now, with regard to states 187, can you identify what we're seeing here?
This is a photograph of the decedent's face taken during the examination.
And specifically with regard to, can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what we are generally looking at?
So we're looking at a front view of her face, documenting her, her appearance, including multiple injuries.
And specifically with regard to an injury or defect to the right side of her nose visible in the photograph, showing you states 188 as a full exhibit. Can you generally tell us what we're seeing here?
This is a view looking on the right side of the decedent's head, and you can see kind of below the eye and moving onto the nose is what I would call a laceration, which is a blunt force injury.
Does it appear to be a penetrating type injury?
Penetrating insofar as, yes, it disrupts the skin and the bone.
So now, did there get to come a point in time that you did a full examination of the decedent's body?
Yes.
And I just showed you some external photos of her face area. Did your visual examination continue to the rest of the victim's body?
Yes.
And showing you, did you make any observations with regard to any strange or unusual marks or bruising on her body?
Yes, she had numerous blunt force injuries over her body.
And did you document all of those bruises in your report, which is the subject, or in your sketch map, which is sketch diagram, which is the subject of Exhibit 185?
Yes, I did.
So, and if, again, just you can kind of explain just a little bit what some of these notations reference.
Yeah, so this is one of my body diagrams documenting injuries to the body, and you can see I've annotated where on the body injuries are, and I've also taken measurements, how large they are, and also in some cases written brief descriptions of them.
And did you do similar markings with regards to the face and head area?
Yes.
Showing you what has been marked as states
Hey, Jen.
192. Can you tell me whether you generally recognize what we are looking at here?
Yes, this is a fairly close-up photograph of one of the decedent's injuries. I believe this is an injury that was on her back.
And I'm going to ask you with regard generally to this area where I placed the highlighter, which is just immediately to a dark mark on the decedent's back. Can you just tell us what we're looking at here?
Well, this is a rather complex injury. Right at the end of your highlighter, there's a kind of a pinkish area that looks like a bruise. To the side of that is a much darker area that appears to be an abrasion. And then again, to the side of that is what more looks like a more circular bruise or abrasion.
Showing you what has been marked as states 191 as a full exhibit. Does this appear to be generally the same wound?
Yes, this is a close-up of that circular injury that I was just describing.
And in the foreground of the photograph, you have this ruler. What is the purpose of putting that there?
A ruler is included in every photograph I take during an examination. First of all, to include a case number, but also to provide a scale so you can see how large or small something is.
So with regard to the circular mark, and I will, this is the mark I am referring to, Doctor?
Yes.
Can you tell us approximately, using the scale in the photograph, what the size, the approximate size of the diameter of that wound is?
It's about 1 inch across.
And is that based upon the markings here and approximately here that gives scale to the wound?
Yes, and it's also documented in my report.
Did you see more than one of these circular 1 inch scale wounds on the victim's body?
I did.
Are you able to offer any kind of an estimate?
There was the one on the back, there was one on the head, and some of the skull fractures had what I would call a scalloped appearance, so it was semicircular.
Now, before you begin any kind of internal examination, do you do any form of evidence collection?
Yes.
And can you tell the ladies and gentlemen a little bit about the evidence collection that you performed in this case?
Yes. In this case, so one of the things I collected was what's called a CT100A kit, which is kind of a kit designed to detect any recent sexual activity. It involves taking various swabs from orifices and other samples. I collected blood cards based on filter paper to be used as a DNA standard. She also, during the examination, I noticed she had on her hands what looked like some fibers that may have been hairs. I collected those as well. And in any case, including this one, we collect samples, fluid samples, usually including at a minimum things like blood to be sent for toxicology testing.
Okay, so let's take those things one at a time. So first of all, the CT100 kit, did I hear you say that you collect a blood sample?
Yes.
And did you do that in this case?
Yes.
And I'm showing you what is already in evidence. It states 148 as a full exhibit. It is a two-page exhibit. Can you tell me, generally, do you recognize of what this is?
This is an evidence bag that's been sealed and has a sticker correlating with this case on it.
And if I zoom in on the sticker, can you tell me what you recognize this to be?
It's designated as a blood card sample.
First of all, do you see your case number 1921-392 on it?
Yes.
Do you see your name on it?
Yes.
Does it appear to correspond to the autopsy performed on December the 4th of 2019
Yes.
by yourself?
Yes.
And do you know, would this have been sent to the forensic crime lab following your autopsy?
Yes, I believe I prepared two blood cards in this case. One was given to law enforcement and the other one was given directly to the crime lab, the Division of Scientific Services.
And with regard to, you indicated some fibers, hair-like fibers had been collected. What did you do with those?
Those were removed from the hands, packaged as evidence.
And what happened to those?
Let me review my evidence receipts briefly. I believe those were packaged with the CT100 kit that again went directly to the crime lab.
And I think that you indicated that you also drew a blood sample of the victim for some other medical purpose?
Correct.
And what was the purpose of drawing that sample?
We collect blood samples to send for toxicology testing.
Was toxicology testing done on that blood sample?
Yes.
And typically, what are you looking for in a toxicology report that is part of an overall autopsy?
In a case like this, I do a standard toxicology panel, which would include things like common over-the-counter drugs, common prescription drugs, common illicit drugs.
And did you get a return of that toxicology report with regard to the sample that you sent?
Yes.
And were there any substances, drugs, alcohol, or otherwise, that were detected in the blood of the decedent, in this case, Ms. Holloway?
No.
Now, after the evidence has been collected, you've taken your photographs, the evidence has been collected in this particular case, what would the next step be?
So after the evidence has been collected, after I've done a complete external examination of the body, that's again when we move to the internal examination, which involves putting these incisions in the body cavities and removing the organs and examining them.
And did you indicate at some point in time that with regard to the body of Miss Holloway, that you shaved a particular area of her body?
Yes, I shaved her head.
And what was the purpose of shaving her head?
The decedent in this case had numerous and extensive blunt force injuries to her head. It's important in a case like this that I be able to examine them fully and completely. And she had, rather long, thick hair, which was obfuscating those injuries. So it was necessary to shave her head to fully visualize them.
Showing you what has been marked states 189 as a full exhibit. Can you tell me whether you recognize what this is?
Yes, this is a photograph taken during the examination showing the right side of the decedent's head after her hair has been shaved.
And again, just bringing you, what are we seeing in the photograph as I begin to zoom in just above her ear in this photograph?
So there are numerous blunt force injuries here, but most remarkably, above her right ear is a large skin injury with fracture of the underlying skull.
And with regard to this photograph, did there come a point in time that you performed an internal examination of the head of Ms. Holloway?
Yes.
And can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what findings that you made with regard to the inside of her head?
Looking at the inside of her head, I found, again, numerous skull fractures. The brain itself had been partially what I call traumatically eviscerated, which just means that the trauma was so severe that a large part of the brain had come out of the skull, and the brain itself had also numerous blunt force injuries.
And you said the brain itself. Did you actually have an opportunity to examine the brain?
I did.
And how was it presented to you at the state medical examiner's office?
The brain came in with the decedent in a separate plastic bag within the body bag.
And so were you able to do a subsequent examination of the brain that was separated from Ms. Holloway's body?
Yes.
Showing you 190 is a full exhibit. Can you tell me whether you generally recognize what this is?
Yes, this is another photograph taken during the autopsy. This is a photograph of the top of the decedent's head. So as we're looking at her, her nose would be towards the top of the photograph. Her right ear would be on the right. The back of her head would be toward the bottom of the photograph.
And can you tell us what specifically are we looking at with regard to various marks on? Can you sort of take us through these marks that we're seeing?
Sure. There are numerous blunt force injuries visible in the photograph. Most of what we're seeing here are lacerations, which are tears in the skin. Also, kind of on the left side of her head, more towards the front, is another circular injury. Looks like a bruise in that case.
The area that I am zooming in on, is this what you're referencing?
That's right.
Now, there's no scale in this picture. It's down lower. But with this injury there, if I zoom back out to the scale below, is this approximately another 1-inch circular bruise on her skull?
Yes.
Before I leave this, down at the bottom, do we see another circular type laceration as you described it, again, approximately 1 inch in diameter?
So there is another laceration in the field right here. It's hard to tell from this angle whether it's circular or not.
So now, can you take us through the internal examination that you performed on the decedent in this case?
Yes. So after the external examination, we put it in what's called a Y cut, going from the shoulders to kind of the middle of the chest and then down the abdomen. Open the body cavity up. We remove the chest plate, which is the front of the rib cage. Pretty much everything from the tongue down to the pelvis comes out. Same with the head. The scalp is cut. The skull is opened. The brain is removed, and all of the organs. I weigh them. I measure them. I dissect them, and as I'm going, I am examining again for any disease, illness, injury, trauma. And I also examine the inside of the body itself. So the wall of the chest, the wall of the abdomen. Again, looking for any abnormalities at all.
Now, with regard to the internal examination performed on the decedent in this case, First of all, you mentioned you examined the brain. Did you find a brain in the victim's head?
So the bulk of her brain had been traumatically eviscerated, as I said. So that was the cerebral hemispheres, which are, if you imagine a brain, the cerebrum is probably what you're picturing. It's the big wrinkly part of the brain. It looks like a giant walnut. It's about the size of a grapefruit. So that was outside of her body at the time she came into the office. Her hindbrain, which is a smaller part of the brain down kind of at the bottom of the skull, that was still inside her head. That includes things like the cerebellum and the brainstem. So that, yes, that was still inside the skull.
Aside from the fractures, which you have already told us about with regard to the skull area of the decedent in this case, did you detect any other fractures in the decedent's body?
She did have some rib fractures, yes.
And any other traumatic notable injuries beyond what you've already described?
Those were the major injuries. The rib fractures were associated with a minor amount of bleeding inside the chest cavity.
And are we talking about one or more ribs?
More than one rib.
Approximately how many? Do you recall?
If I can review my report, I can certainly tell you. Looks like it's a total of 5 ribs were broken.
And
My God.
based upon
5
your
of 12 were
examination,
broke.
were these rib fractures fresh injuries, meaning they were not sort of healing or any type of an old wound? Do you have an opinion with regard to that?
There was no evidence of healing to the naked eye.
And after you completed the internal examination, what, if anything, did you do next?
At the end of the examination, it's mostly paperwork, packaging all the evidence, but the exam is essentially concluded at that point.
Is part of the responsibilities of the medical examiner's office to make a firm identification of the decedent?
Yes.
And with regard to this particular case, do you recall how identification was made?
I made a definitive identification by looking at Miss Holloway's previous dental records.
So was the medical examiner's office provided dental records to compare to x-rays taken by your office?
Yes, we were.
And were you able to identify that 19-21-392, did you positively identify that body as being Christina Holloway from the dental records?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes, showing you states 183 as a full exhibit. Are you aware that the state medical examiner's office received
It's crazy. Bonnie.
an envelope with regard to several small off-white colored unknown fragments
Yes.
from the Ansonia Police Department?
Yes.
And you know, as part of this examination, were they examined by a member of the office?
Yes, these were examined by the chief medical examiner, Dr. Gill.
And did Dr. Gill, as part of this report, as states 184 as a full exhibit, issue an opinion as to what he believed those items were?
Yes.
Showing you part of states 184, this page here. Does this appear to be receipt from the Office of the State Medical Examiner.
He used a hammer.
Are you able to see it?
Yes.
And did Dr. Gill issue a report as to what these items were?
Yes.
And what was the result of his examination?
Looking at them under the microscope, he identified them as fragments of bone and bone marrow.
And are you aware that after Dr. Gill determined that these were bone fragments, were they sent to the state forensic crime lab for a DNA analysis?
I believe they were.
Now, quick question, Dr. Hayes. With regard to, are you familiar with the term rigor mortis?
Yes.
Can you just generally explain to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what rigor mortis is?
Rigor mortis is the way a body becomes stiff after death.
And is there a general sort of a rule of thumb time calculation for when rigor mortis begins taking hold and at what point it releases?
Yes, it is highly variable, depending on many different factors. In general, rigor mortis starts to set in within a few hours after death and is fully developed by around 12 hours or so after death, and then starts to release over the following 24 to 36 or 48 hours. Again, that's a general timeline, and it does vary from case to case.
Now, when the body of Miss Holloway was presented to you, are you able to indicate what level of rigor mortis the body was in when it was presented at the lab?
Yes.
And yes, I'm sorry,
go ahead.
Are you able to tell us what level of rigor mortis the body was in?
Yes, I'm sorry. So I described the rigor mortis as passing off. So it was on the way to releasing at the time I examined the body.
And at what time frame would that generally occur within the parameters?
So that is usually within, at least 12 hours to maybe 2 or 3 days after death. It's a little bit, it can be affected, especially in this case, because by the time I examined her, she had been received at my office, I believe, the morning prior to when I did the autopsy. So she'd been in refrigeration for about 24 hours before I started the examination. So that will also affect the rigor mortis.
Finally, then, Doctor,
I
having
agree.
concluded all
There's something else there underlying with the PCP brought it out. It was something else there.
of the processes that you described, do you have an opinion based upon a reasonable degree of medical certainty or probability as to what the causation of the death was of Christine Holloway?
Yes, I certified that as blunt force injuries of the head and torso.
Is that the mechanism of death? Was this determined to be a homicide?
This was, yes, the manner of death was deemed to be a homicide.
I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Attorney Governor.
Hi,
Hi, good afternoon.
good afternoon. Just one question. Even based on all your training and experience and all the autopsies that you've done, Doctor, you can't tell us who caused those injuries to Christine Holloway, can you?
No, sir.
Thank you. I have no other questions.
All right. Nothing further from the state?
I'm sorry?
You're all set? Nothing
Yes, Your
further from the state? I thank you. May I exit the witness stand? Do you have any, is that an original exhibit? I'll take that from you. Thank you so much. Please watch your step.
That's not an exhibit.
Okay. It's all right. Thank you.
No cross?
All right, so members of the jury, we are going to conclude today. I just want to give you an update as to the schedule because I told you I would
Oh
do
my
that.
God.
It appears that the state will be in a position most likely to rest its case tomorrow, and following perhaps some administrative things on the record outside of your presence. Thereafter, the defense will have an opportunity to present a case if they choose to do so. So having that information, it puts us a little bit ahead of schedule when you were first selected and when we first talked about the length or period of time that you would be required to be with us. I don't know if the evidence will be concluded on or before Thursday evening
No
at
emotion.
5 o'clock. Friday is a holiday for the courts, so we will not be here in session on Friday. That would bring us back on Monday. And as the case looks right now, although things can change, obviously, it does appear that we would be in a position to conclude evidence at least some point during the following week. So some point next week, if we don't conclude evidence on Thursday. Okay, so that's your update. Again, I remind you of your duties of your oath. I know you're going home to people who are curious in nature. And again, I just want to remind you, this is being displayed on the news, on social media. Please do your best to avoid any publicity about this case. Turn your backs away from it immediately. Aside from that, have a good evening tonight. Please leave your notebooks behind. I appreciate you being with us. Thank you. Court stands adjourned.
All right.
Okay. So we'll watch the end of Lori Daybell, what we were just looking at. And then we'll go for the day. Tomorrow, the state's going to rest its case, I suppose. So that'll be interesting. It's been an interesting trial. And I appreciate y'all hanging out with me while I watch this trial. I don't know that I could get through it alone. That's horrific that he took that hammer and beat her. I definitely think the PCP played a major role in this. I think.
Now, if it's not bad enough for Lori that her former friend.
I think that there was some kind of mental issue underlying, and I think since he was obviously addicted to PCP, I think he smoked the PCP, and the PCP brought something out in him to where he either thought he was tripping and he already had a disdain for her and he was killing her in his trip, or it just brought something out of him that hadn't happened before. I don't know, man. It's scary. It's even more scary for me because, I've got a past and I've been with people who did substances that I didn't do, and they would do these substances. And I mean, I remember, them sitting in the bathroom smoking, and I'm in the room and they're getting paranoid and tripping out. And they're like, I need to call the cops. And I'm like, no, don't call the fucking cops. Calm the fuck down. Chill the fuck out. Like there's, substances, chill the fuck out. So I don't know. This case kind of trips me out because she, you hear the 911 call and she's like, hang up the phone. It reminds me of myself back in those days, Thank God I'm not living that life anymore. And yeah, I'm lucky to be here. I don't know. I don't recognize it as that. I'm glad I'm here, but those things happened to me because of stupid decisions I made. But, it's hard to hear things like this because it brings back memories like that. Fonnie said, is it a YouTube thing? Because I don't see the cops are a solution when I'm tripping. I don't know. I don't either. That's why I was always like, hey, no, we're not calling 911. We're not going to call the cops. Like, let's not. I don't want to go to jail. Chill the fuck out. Like, I don't know. I guess. I don't know. You got to think about, like, he's thinking people are entering the house and he's not taking into consideration the fact that he's on substances. So if he thinks people are entering the house and she don't see nobody and she's like, dude, you're tripping, it could make it worse for him. You know what I mean? Yeah, there was a second unidentified male DNA. You're absolutely right, AM. Yes, thank you, Jenny Jen. Thoughts and prayers for Christine's family and as well for baby Vanessa. I couldn't imagine being her family and seeing these things happen, God, like being in court and hearing all that. All right, so we'll watch Lori. We'll watch the highlights from Lori Daybell before we go today.
Friend had testified against her. Trina Kay called Lori's brother, Adam Cox, to testify. He had been talking with Charles about staging an intervention to help Lori in July of 2019.
Just yes or no, did you ever talk to Charles about why he and Lori were having marital problems?
Yes.
You yourself personally, were you aware of Lori having any beliefs that were outside of what is accepted by the LDS religion?
Yes.
Can you tell us what you were aware of that you knew to be outside the LDS religion?
Lori told me that she was in the process of translating from a mortal human being to an immortal human being, a celestial state.
That's something that the LDS religion supports?
I haven't heard of it that it's happened here on Earth yet.
Did you ever hear her talking about being married to someone that is relevant in your religion?
Yes, I have heard that.
Did she tell that to you?
I don't know. I can't recall her telling me that, but I remember other people telling me that.
Okay. Was there anything else that you recall her telling you that she believed that seemed outside the LDS religion?
Yes. There was a time where she told me that she had more priesthood authority than the priesthood.
And why, can you explain for us what that means, why that was significant to you?
In our religion, the men hold the priesthood, and she said that she's in a state where she's above that.
Okay.
I didn't quite understand it, but
Okay, that makes sense. Of course, she's going to be in a state that she's above that because she's the highest, she's the best, she's number one. That makes total sense. That only men can be that high up, and so she makes this offshoot where she can be just as high up as they are. Yeah, I get it now.
very strange.
Adam testified about wanting to help Charles stage that intervention for Lori to get her help, but then his and Lori's brother, Alex, shot and killed Charles.
Can you tell us about the story of Nephi?
Nephi?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Nephi was a prophet in the Book of Mormon. It's the first chapter. He was a prophet, very humble and faithful servant of the Lord. Ironically enough, his brothers tried to kill him at one point. But he actually ended up going to Jerusalem to get these plates back, and he was run off, came back, and then went back again because the Lord asked him to. And when he did, the King Laban, who was actually a wicked king, was laying on the ground drunk in front of him, and Nephi was told to kill Laban.
Who was he told by?
The spirit, or God.
So God was using a Holy Spirit to tell him to kill Laban, and
Yes.
did he?
Yes, he did.
Was that something he anguished over?
Yes.
But ultimately, it was a justified killing.
Yes.
On cross-examination, Lori worked to put some distance between her and Adam.
Mr. Cox, how long has it been since we've seen each other in person?
Don't know.
When was the last time you saw me?
I don't recall.
So, has it been a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 6
Something like
years,
that.
7 years, 8 years?
Something.
Okay. So, you have no idea.
Nope.
You have no
I don't
idea when the
wanna
last
know.
time you saw me in person.
I don't know the year or how many years it's been.
Yep, don't know, don't care.
Okay. So, did you see me at Colby's wedding in January 2018?
No, I was not there.
You didn't come to Colby's wedding.
No, I did not.
So, did you see me sometime that year
Hey,
at
Sue.
my house
Possibly.
where Colby got married? That house.
I did see you at that house. Yes.
Susie, you just finished finals. That's so awesome. I'm glad that you're back, and I hope that finals went well and everything. Congratulations. Did that brother have any involvement or knowledge? I don't think so. I think he distanced himself long ago and stayed away. Yeah, but the police listened to the demon and put down self-defense. Yeah, because Tylee spoke to them, and she's a child, so they're gonna believe her. And then Lori had Tylee just say what Lori told her, because that's her mama,
Yes.
in my opinion.
At least one time.
Yes.
So possibly in 2018.
Yes.
And when was the last time we had any communications?
The last time I remember our communications was you and I were speaking in the kitchen when the family was over.
Okay.
And Lori seemed to get a little angry that Adam did not remember her signature dish.
And were we eating my green
Haven't
chili
seen it.
chicken enchiladas?
Do not remember that.
You do not remember that?
Nope.
Is that what I made every time we had a family get together, which was like 10 times a year?
I don't remember that.
Okay. And when was the last time that we had a phone call or text message?
I have no idea.
Could it possibly be around that exact same time?
I noticed already that, when we're watching our normal case, Jose Morales case, they're like, can I give the witness a document to refresh their memory? She's not doing that. She's like, could it be around X date? Could it be around this time? Like, where are your documents to refresh the witness's memory? Where's your documentation? I love how y'all are congratulating Susie all through the chat. Y'all are so sweet. I think this is the killing of Charles. I think this killing of Charles caused Tylee's demise. She knew the truth. Yeah, I wonder. She should have said those enchiladas taste like shit.
Possibly.
Okay.
Lori ended the cross of her brother this way.
Did you see with your eyes or hear with your ears or personally witness me conspire with my brother, Alex Cox, to murder my husband, Charles Vallow?
No.
Thank you. No more questions.
Next up, Serena Sharp, a woman who knew Lori back in 2019.
When you were staying at Lori's house in Phoenix in November of 2018, did you understand her to be married?
Yes.
At that time, did you have any idea that Lori and
I love her shirt. I wear shirts like that. I love that shirt. How frilly it is and pretty. That's a nice looking young woman, older woman, excuse me.
Chad were having an affair?
No idea.
After you met Lori at this and stayed at her house, did you have any more conversations with her, texts or phone calls?
Yes.
Were you ever invited back out to Arizona?
Yes.
When was that?
That was in March of 2019 for a girls' weekend.
What was the girls' weekend going to be?
It was a few girls coming together for a girls' weekend. So
Yeah.
Whose house, where was it going to be?
that was at Zulema's house. And I think from my memory, she's the one who invited me and started that girls' weekend idea.
So what we're talking about right now, we're just going over highlights from the Lori Vallow case. That's an older case. We've been watching the Jose Morales case, but they finished for the day. That judge, I don't know if she's got some bladder issues or what her deal is, but she likes to finish. And can you believe, you guys, that she was like, we're going to finish kind of early ahead of schedule? And I'm sitting here thinking, ma'am, if you had just been to court on time, we would be done by now. Like, what do you mean we're going to finish ahead of schedule with all of the time that you've wasted of everybody's? We're still finishing ahead of schedule. Like, imagine if you hadn't wasted all of our time so much. But sorry, back to the subject at hand, Susie. This is Lori Vallow, and these are some highlights. tomorrow we'll be back with the Jose Morales case.
Had you met Zulema before?
Yes.
Where did you met her?
I met, it's vague, but I think I met her at the first Preparing a People conference I came to,
Okay, bad
which
girl.
was
Have a
the
good day.
November 2018 here in Arizona.
Serena Sharp also talked about castings Lori and her friends discussed, where evil spirits were driven out of people.
Do you recall having Lori ask everyone to help cast out as to a specific person?
Yes.
Can you tell us who that was?
It was her husband, Charles.
Had you ever met Charles before?
Vague memory, but it was a quick, I think, meet as I was leaving Arizona for the Preparing a People conference in November. I was going to the airport and I think he was coming in at the same time. Again, it was pretty chaotic.
Yeah.
But I think that's when we met very briefly.
So he was kind of coming home and you were leaving.
Yes.
Did this seem unusual to you to do this, to be asked to cast out as to a specific person?
Yes. But not. Did you say unusual?
Yeah, did it stand out to you, her asking you to cast out as to her husband?
Yes, it stood out to me.
During this weekend, did Lori talk to you about her husband, Charles Vallow, being possessed?
Yes, she did.
What do you recall about her talking about her husband being possessed?
I recall that she spoke about her husband being possessed by an evil spirit, and she named the evil spirit.
Do you recall what the name was?
Yes.
What was it?
It was Ned.
N-E-D? Ned?
N-E-D.
Flanders?
When you heard this, did that stand out to you as well?
Very much, yes. Very unusual.
Are you someone who questions things? Or
Yeah.
do you just go with the flow?
I question things.
Then the topic of zombies came up.
So, did you ever hear Lori use the term zombie?
I did.
Is that another thing that kind of stuck out to you?
Very much.
In listening to Lori, did zombie sort of come to, did you understand that to mean someone whose body was possessed by an evil spirit?
Well, prior to this, I thought zombie was like a Hollywood thing, but she tried to relate the zombie and correlate that to the evil spirit that was inside of somebody.
Like her husband?
Like her husband, yes.
This infuriated Lori.
Do you believe that your testimony here will be accountable to God?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Sharp, how many times did we meet in person?
4.
How many one-on-one conversations during those meetings do you think that we actually had? Just you and me, nobody else around, just you and me.
Right.
Maybe 2.
2 conversations in our whole lives,
Maybe
just me and
3.
you.
You said during those meetings.
During the 4 times that we saw each other in person, how many times did you and I have a one-on-one conversation where other people were not in the conversation? Just me and you.
Tom, that's a good question. Tom said, I wonder if Lori ever reflects in her cell and thinks, man, I really fucked my life up. I think so. Will she ever admit it? Hell no. But I think so. Absolutely.
I can remember 3.
Okay. Ms. Sharp, did you see or hear or personally witness me conspire with my brother or anyone else to murder my husband, Charles Vallow?
Yeah.
No, I did not.
Thank you. No more questions.
Redirect.
The final witness of the week, Charles Vallow's sister and JJ Vallow's grandmother, Kay Woodcock.
Charles was the
Oh, this is going to be a good one. Cara said, I don't think so. She believes that Jesus is going to come down and exonerate her, according to her Dateline interview. That's right. We watched that. Abella said she's talking in the toilet bowl, hoping that a portal will open up. You could talk in them, but like if it's a jail that has like stories, like, you know, one floor, 2 floor, 3 floors, and there's people above you in cells, you can like put a toilet paper roll in there. Like you get all the water out of it. You put a toilet paper roll in the hole of the toilet where everything leaves the toilet. And then it echo, like you can talk just normal, like kind of put your face to the bowl and talk. And then you listen, and people like they'll have conversations back and forth. It's crazy, y'all.
the best dad. I mean, he was always doting on him. The arrangement I figured out eventually was that
Yes.
if Charles was working out of town, Lori had him all by herself. And so when Charles got back to town, JJ was his to take care of 100%.
Kay testified about the problems that arose in the relationship between Lori and Charles.
During this time when you had come out here, do you remember approximately when that was?
It's like the 1st of February of 2019 or the 2nd. It was right in there.
When you came out here, did you then speak with Charles about his concerns for his safety? Just yes or no?
About his what?
His concerns for his safety.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yep.
That's just yes. Is this the time where, well, let me ask it this time. When you came out here, did you see Lori?
No.
When you came out here, did anyone know where Lori was?
No, nobody was talking about where she was. Nobody would tell Charles where she was.
So your brother was trying to find where she was?
Yes, he was.
Where was JJ at this time?
He was with Charles, and that's one of the reasons I came out was to help him with JJ, because he was quite a handful, and Charles was a mess. He was broken. He was a broken-hearted man. Charles told me that Lori did not want JJ anymore, or Kylie, or him. And I said, okay, well, look, what if you move to Houston and I'll be 2.5 hours away. And when you go out of town, I'll come and stay with JJ. And so he was talking about hiring a nanny. And I said, no, I will be the nanny, and I'll come and take care of him when you have to work. And it's easy enough. And, you know, you won't have to pay a penny.
Kay Woodcock then talked about learning that Alex Cox had killed Charles in July of 2019. She found out on Google.
It was horrible.
Oh my God. He only.
I have to call my siblings.
Oh God.
And let them know.
Oh my God. Gosh.
And everybody was freaked out. I didn't know what to do. But I did call Cole back and let him know that it was true. And just was telling him, let's keep in touch. You find out something, I find out something, we'll let each other know. And
did you try to reach out to Lori?
I've tried calling, texting Charles. I tried calling, texting Lori. And at some point she texted me, she returned a text, something like, I'm having to deal with a lot of stuff and I'm busy, and she was too busy to even call his family to say that he was dead by her.
Yeah, and I'm glad that we can respectfully disagree. I don't know. Like, even if Colby confirmed it, Colby's the son that she talks to. Like, I would ask, was Colby present when this supposedly happened, or is it something his mama told him? I don't know. I don't know that much about it, but I'm glad that we can all respectfully agree to disagree. And hello, Stoic and Only Onions. I understand, but Colby was a baby and he's been caught in too many inconsistencies. Interesting. Colby talks about it on his channel. I haven't watched much of his stuff. I didn't get much into this case for some reason. It didn't grab my attention as much. And
Brother killing him, and
Take a breath. So you had tried to reach her and she was too busy to talk to you.
yeah.
Now, everybody was anticipating the cross-examination of Kay Woodcock by Lori, but it didn't last very long.
Were you aware at all of the relationship between Charles and Tylee?
It was, let's say, it was a bit contemptuous. It seemed like there was always a lot of drama going on, and so that's all I knew. I didn't.
And I think that was legitimately because Lori pitted Tylee against Charles. When she was done with it, she would tell Tylee things to make her argue with him, because that's her daughter. Like, of course, her daughter's going to take up for her mama. So she walks in the room and sees her mama crying, and her mama's like, Charles is so mean. I just hate him. He's so hateful, all of this and that and the third. It's going to make Tylee have some kind of contention towards him too. So I believe that's more on Lori's part as well, any contention that they had. In my opinion, they took out Melanie's P mom with that big shot. I don't know. Did Lori ever take a lie detector test? I'm not sure. Her whole family is just off. Even Adam has been caught telling different stories. Interesting.
He didn't say too much about it, and I didn't pry.
Could you imagine?
You knew that there was some kind of contention going on with those two for
I can't
a
hear
while.
you.
I'm sorry. You did know that there was some kind of contention going on with those two for a while.
Yes.
Okay.
Probably, Tom. Could you
And you
imagine?
weren't really aware of the events
Could you imagine being questioned by the person who killed your brother?
that happened that morning, were you?
The morning of his
July
murder?
Of July 11th?
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
Because you didn't tell me.
Yeah, I would think so.
Miss Woodcock,
Oh, really?
did you see or hear or personally witness me conspire with Alex Cox to kill my husband, Charles Vallow?
No, but I saw a ton of evidence that did.
Thank you. No further questions.
And that was it for the first week of testimony in the trial of Lori Vallow Daybell. And that's it for this episode of Crime Fix. I'm Anjanette Levy. Thanks so much for being here and being with me. I'll see you back here next time.
Well, that was pretty interesting. Yeah, and her being so aggressive, like, and looking at this woman, knowing that she conspired with her brother to not only commit homicide on my brother, but also a litany of other people, in my opinion, like, and then to see her questioning you in court like that. And the woman who went on one date with him, the don't flatter yourself woman, she'll be remembered in history for saying, don't flatter yourself. Like Hannah's name, she changed her name to Don't Flatter Yourself after that. You think she was afraid of Charles' sister, really? That's interesting. Stoic said, yes, I would love to tell you more. It's hard right now to type it. Yeah, the Mormon history is really strange. Yeah. See, so we have church here at home, but, it's because, we're very much on, like, you read the Bible or we'll tell you verses and you make your own conclusion from that, okay? It's whatever God or your higher power puts in you to believe, right? Like, I'm not gonna believe that one man's interpretation is how it's supposed to be, and that's just our personal thing. So we also talk about different religions and aspects of different religions, and we've talked about Mormon, we talked about Jewish, we've talked about a lot of things, Buddhism. We talk about all of these things with our children just so they, know all of these things. The main thing is just to find God in something you see every day. But yeah, the whole see my Mr. Speculating was married before and has 4 children from that relationship, and they were like Mormon. Mr. Speculating has 8 children total. So they were Mormon. And so he knows a lot more about that religion than I do. And from the things he's told me, like finding tablets in the woods and the plural marriages, but he said that was more during Civil War times because men were being sent to war and died, and in order to be taken care of as a woman, you had to be married. So that's kind of where that came from, and it wasn't really supposed to last all that long. It's a whole big thing. Yes, I like that. I like indigenous beliefs too. We talked about that too, and I enjoy those. I enjoy reading about that. I've got several books on those. She's probably a bully in her prison pod. I would see that. She probably runs things. A Murderous Heart, Annie's videos. Copy hasn't kicked in, and I've forgotten her last name at the moment. No, I'll have to check that out. Yeah. Yeah. We try to look at it from all aspects. It seems like she's only asking questions that she has a morbid curiosity followed by, did you personally? Kind of like Ted Bundy, right? I love their beliefs. I'm always smiling when I see cardinals and dragonflies. Yes. The founder, Joseph Smith, is recorded basically doing magic by looking into a hat and using stones and talismans to run around the countryside. Very interesting. It's really interesting if you look into it. There's lots of videos on it on YouTube. I just can't get down with, I found these tablets in the woods and they told me, and I'm a prophet. My big thing is I'm a prophet. You need to follow me because I'm a prophet. And then the next prophet will be named and the next prophet will be named. That's how we get Warren Jeffs. If y'all don't know about Warren Jeffs, Lord Jesus, have mercy. Oh my God, he was taking what he called spirit wives, 12-year-old little girls, supposed to be his wives, and his dad had 64 wives. It's just that's dangerous territory in my opinion. But I'm gonna go today. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. I really do. I know this trial's hard. I know it gets frustrating, especially with this judge in particular. But I appreciate watching it with you guys. I appreciate all the love and support. I appreciate being able to talk to you guys. I really have so much love for y'all. And thank you for hanging out with me. I can't express to you how much that means to me. I really enjoy the time we spend together. And after we do this trial, we'll go back to doing normal stuff until we have Stefan's court date and trial as well. Basically just yawned. It's so cute. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. Abella said, I do. I always ask questions of indigenous people I meet on my long RV trips up north. That's so sweet. The Power of Myth with Joseph Campbell. I loved that book as it mentioned many of their spiritual beliefs. That's interesting. So I don't know. I didn't know. I did some minor research into Mormon before Lori Daybell's first trial. Yeah, it's very interesting. I don't want to, condone anybody, but, for their beliefs, but it's definitely interesting. All right. I love y'all. Yeah. Thank you guys for keeping me company. Yeah. The judge is driving us crazy. And, Yeah, I'm hoping to be able to talk about some of that stuff with y'all on Saturday, like the whole Easter egg thing, and maybe we can do some stuff like that on the weekend. I don't know. Yes, they buried their loves inside cedar trees. That's so cute. All right, I love y'all. I hope y'all have a good night. I will see y'all in the morning, bright and early and bushy-tailed with bells on. Y'all have a good night. Stay safe. And thank you again for hanging out with me. I know this trial's hard to listen to. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye. Oh, if nobody's told you, you are important, you are special, and you are loved. And I love you. Bye.
Listen up, I gotta tell you, there is something you should